We are at the third episode of All Out, and it's that episode where determine the future on what you're planning to do with this series. But of course, I'm planning to stick with it because this series has many promises in the future. And after seeing this episode, which had me at the edge of my seat, I can just imagine what future matchups will be like. So, is the practice match between Jinko and Keijo. So these two schools actually have some history with each other. Now, going into the practice match, we have where we're met with two people that are probably going to be the face of Keijo. We have Miyuki, who was introduced in a flashback back in the first episode and possibly the second episode. And he is the old friend of Sumiyaki. Now, we all know what happened with the fate with Miyuki and Sumiyaki, with Miyuki having that dislocated shoulder after, Sumiyaki tackled him to the ground. And of course, he missed the championships and caused their team to lose. So Sumiyaki is still not over that. But we would have thought, okay, possibly he has some grudge against Sumiyaki because he kind of did ruin his career, but not all that much. He caused him to miss a championship and everything. But actually, that's quite the opposite of what I would have thought. He's actually a pretty good guy. He's a decent character who is still very friendly towards Sumiyaki. We can assume he still keeps in touch with him, at least, possibly. And that the fact that he comes to his defense when needed. Like, we know Gion doesn't, call Sumiyaki by his name, and he always calls him by Tree Trunk, and we see where Miyuki comes to his defense thinking that Gion is picking on him. So possibly that may earn some brownie points in your book for Miyuki. Hopefully he continues to gain those, and we get to see more of his character in later episodes. And then we have the vice captain of Keijo. I believe his name is Taira, and he has a lot of interest in Sekizan, which I'll explain a little bit further into the review. So as the practice match commences, Sumiyaki is not doing good. Sumiyaki is not, his head is not in the game. And we see that especially when he's going against Miyuki. He's afraid of playing. And that's due to what their history was. After seeing how he injured Miyuki, it's coming back to haunt him. And it comes to the point where it's like, dude, you have to start giving your all. And you cannot be holding back onto the past and making the past, have a hold onto you. And when he lets Miyuki pass by him, we have where Miyuki is like, it's better if you just step off the field. You're nothing but a giant sore loser. And we have where Gion, even though he's not playing the game, which is kind of weird because most of the time when a practice match, especially the first one, shows within a sports anime series in a high school setting, we usually have where the MC is playing. The possibility is that he may play later into the match, but for the time being, he is not. He's actually benched. So that's a kind of different change that we see within this series, at least. He's actually the one to give confidence, to boost up Sumiyaki and take his head out the funk. And we see Sumiyaki from this timid, shy guy just do a complete 180 where he's dripping with confidence. It's like whatever Gion said, that took him out of his funk, made him realize that he has to start giving his all into this game. And he does that exactly. I'm looking at this match and I'm looking at my boy, he's even smirking. I was like, oh my god, if this is what he's capable of, can you imagine when official matches does happen where the points actually really do count? We do know for sure Keijo is better than Jinko. They are. When we saw a flashback of the time where Sekizan was a first year, when he didn't have the white curly hair, I guess when he got older, he thought that probably looked cool and stuck with it. Keijo, like I said, is a school that has been to many championships. And they conclude that Jinko is a team that completely sucks. That they never went to championships and they're always getting beaten. And when they did beat them in their practice match, they beat them with 115-0. And you would have thought, okay, Jinko lost. You thought they'd be in low spirits. They start crying. But they were talking and being jolly. And it's like, but you guys lost. and they could not understand that. And then we see where Sekizan is still practicing, even though their practice match had ended an hour before. And that's why the vice captain has such an interest in him, is because he carries this, he embodies this type of spirit, this undying, unyielding spirit to keep moving, that no matter how much times they crush them, he does not, he's not someone to hesitate. He keeps pushing forward. Like, you cannot blow out his flame, you cannot take out his spirit. And that's why he has such an interest in him, because he wants to be able to beat him at his own game, but he's also like intrigued by his character. So the practice match was pretty intense. It's brutal too. It was really brutal. Like, I kind of felt for the small characters, because I'm a small person myself, and if I was to get bodied like those small characters, I just felt for them. You know, I mean, they're built to play this game, but you just kind of felt for them. But I was really happy that they used some of the terminologies in this episode and explained them. So for people who doesn't understand rugby like myself, got a better understanding, and possibly they'll continue it doing so in other episodes. So for the audience who is not well known of rugby, understands it a little better. So that was a very good point of this episode, as well as the soundtrack. The background music that was used was on key point. I really enjoyed the background music that was played. The match was intense, and we see where another blonde character, Onohara, it seems that he's going to be the person who's going to turn the tides for Jinko for the next episode. So we're going to see what he's capable of doing. If any indication what we saw in the opening, him kicking the ball like that, will be any indication that he's going to be the one that's going to flip the tables, you know, turn the tides, so that Jinko could start getting some points, because Keijo has a 7-point lead against Jinko. So we're gonna see what's going to happen in the next episode and how much more intense it can get from there on out. But if you saw this week's episode of All Out, do tell me how you felt about this episode. What are your future plans for this series? What are you going to plan to do with it? What were some of your most favorite parts of this episode? The links are in the description box as always, so you guys can go check that out. And I'm Kimmy Chan of Anime Legends Podcast, and I will see you guys later. Bye.